48-hour art check, round 43.
Boom.
48-hour art check! Here we are again.
Yes.
My father-in-law just bought
again.
a sports car with no top. He bought a convertible Mustang, and I feel like we're not quite there yet at 43, but maybe in a couple weeks we get those no-top sports cars.
Nice. I think it's about time, honestly. It's about time we have a good old art check midlife crisis.
we should at 50 we should do some sort of art check midlife crisis.
Yeah, true. Oh man, my back's hurting a lot lately. Just an aching episode.
Yeah.
What are your challenges? Well, slowing down a bit.
I don't know. I'm always a little foggy in the morning now.
All right,
okay.
Let's rock this.
So this will be an interesting one because you've got Artcasters right after this. I haven't tested out any of these buttons like I normally do. So let's see how it goes. Do you wanna go first?
Yeah, let's do it. So what I did for my plans was I finished this page that you see on the left of the screen, and then on the right of the screen, I did my thumbnails. So I'm actually pretty excited. It's weird, but that page on the left took a really long time because of all those little dots and circles and stuff. So,
yeah.
And then the thumbnail was pretty quick, as you can see, but it's going to be a kid drawing a whole page full of pages, which is going to take forever to draw. But yeah.
Interesting. That's cool.
You?
Yeah, on mine, I've got a scrolling sign that is 30 inches by 148 inches. And I'm trying to design and lay out this sign, and it's killing me. It's like, it's killing my computer. It's killing, the layout of it is so awkward because it's so tall. And then I've just been like resizing things and getting them ready for postcards. I have not gotten a lot accomplished, to be perfectly honest.
I don't know. That looks like a lot. So, challenges. For me, the challenge today will tie in a little bit to our topic, but I'm a bit addicted to argument, and especially because I feel like iron sharpens iron, and so I will get trapped in like rabbit holes of just debate that are sometimes completely fruitless and with the intent of it being fruitful. So
right.
Anyhow, so that's been my struggle with art creation. What about you?
I'm just gonna hold this up. This is my struggle. I bought a new game and it's so good. And
wait a sec. The struggle is real. Just hold that thing.
That's it.
The struggle is real.
That's it. I bought it. It's Dead Cells. It's super bad a game. But the problem is that I have like all these little like 30-minute segments of my life is this kid just is taking over. And so I can play for like 20 minutes, but I can't like get anything done for 20 minutes. Sorry, I'm cutting into your plans.
No, I get it, man. Coming from somebody who's been there, and you've been there before too, so you'll know. It's like I totally know. It's crazy. You don't get any time. My plan is to hopefully get the rough pencils for at least part of this page. So that's my goal for the next time we meet. And you?
Unfortunately, I didn't meet my goals from last time, which was to do all the printing, and so I'm going to retain those goals. I've got most of the postcards sized. I've got most of the images that I want on that sign there. I just don't have them laid out. So I want to get at least postcards and that sign sent to the printer before the end of the week. And then I've got some freelance stuff I've got to hit up.
Yeah, definitely for sure.
So, yeah.
All right.
So
topic.
I was thinking of yesterday's, or I guess Monday's conversation was really good. I like have something on my shirt. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about nuance, because that's I think the key issue that I was trying to get at, and I think that you were trying to get at before, was not that the other side, those that disagree with me, are wrong, but that I don't fit into a particular category because I'm a human being who is nuanced. And I feel like the vast majority of people would take life on an issue by issue, category by category basis, rather than like, here's this platform of all of these ideas that my political party or my whatever group or, you know, my knitting club or whatever, we all agree to these things unilaterally, like whatever. Like, I think what I was trying to say is that it's difficult to have nuance and be flexible in what you're doing in the online today. Like, I find like that's what I was trying to say. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. I don't know what you wanted to.
Yeah. So let me see. The best way to kind of explain it, I guess, would be with like an analogy, like where I think our point was, let's say you're somebody who is like a staunch vegetarian.
Okay.
And you meet somebody who eats meat. And you meet that person, and before having a conversation with them, have all these preset notions about what that person's beliefs are, why they eat meat. Maybe you think that they buy prepackaged meat, that they don't care about animal rights. Like, you make all these assumptions based on that person. By the way, I'm bringing that up because I'm sympathetic to vegetarians. Like, my wife was one for years.
Sure.
And I have a lot of family and friends who are. But if you make all these assumptions about the person before even having a dialogue with them, and then insert those assumptions into that conversation, it becomes like a team versus team thing.
Right.
It becomes like a tribalism thing, and it can actually block you from having a real, honest conversation with that person.
Right.
And you'll walk away maybe feeling better about yourself, but you've learned nothing. And I think an hour from that conversation, you might even regret it because you haven't learned anything from that person as well. So I think the point I was getting at was not to be unclear about where your position is on something, but to kind of research it first, to actually learn about the opposition before you make prejudgments or insert your own ideas about them into that, to do your own research. And then to like actually be open to hearing what that person actually believes, rather than making assumptions about what that person believes. And I think that can get you out of tribalism. I think that's kind of where we were gearing it.
Yeah. And so anytime that you go into a situation, and you, without having heard or read anything that person has said or written on that topic, if you make an assumption, they probably believe this.
Yeah,
that's hugely problematic, and not just because you might be wrong or you might lose the debate, but that's, I think, one of the main problems that we have worldwide right now is Americans are like this, and the French are like this, and black people are like this, and these people are like that, and whatever. And it's like if you make assumptions like all gay people must feel this way, or all vegetarians must hate da 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 da. It's like, the problem with that is that each one of those groups is actually made up of individual people. Every single one of those individual people has their own set of reasons for believing what they believe. And at no point in time are you going to get a block of people that all agree on everything. And I can prove this. Try to get more than 4 people to order the same pizza.
Mm-hmm. Right? I actually had to do that today. We had a department lunch, and it's a very difficult thing to get people to agree on a pizza.
And that's just like something simple like pizza. When it comes to something that affects people's lives, I think the problem is that when you start to assume, you start to vilify. I think that assumption leads to this thing called othering, which is where I take someone else, I distance them from me by categorizing them as other than me. Then I can attack them because then I don't have to empathize with them.
Well, because then you're attacking them and not an individual, which is a mistake. Like if you're going to get into a dialogue with a person, you should consider the person and not them or they. And if you catch yourself saying they always or all of you, blah, 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 always, you know, like it's just, you know, it's like a marriage counseling 101 kind of thing. You don't want to make assumptions about what the other person thinks. You don't want to put into their mouth what they think or what they always do. And definitely when you're dealing with somebody who's part of a group, you don't want to make the assumption that they're on board wholesale with everything about that group. And you also want to make sure that when you've done your research about that group, it's not research that's just presented from the opposition.
Right.
Meaning like, you know, just because someone on your side told you that these people, those others are like this, don't take that as wholesale truth, because what you'll find and what you're missing in that, I think you're losing out in that, and I think it creates really poor writing as well. Like just tying it back into art, is that there's nuance to people, and nuance doesn't mean a lack of like true black and white choosing on an issue. It just means that, you know, you need to allow people to have nuance and seek to understand that nuance in order to really be able to have a dialogue that can create actual change.
And I wonder often what the goals are of people who do the opposite of this. Because if I'm on Twitter or Reddit or Facebook or whatever, and I get into a discussion about politics or religion or money or, you know, any of the third rail issues that, you know, always cause contention, what are the goals? What are the outcomes? Like, why am I doing that? Some people do that because they enjoy the fight, right? They enjoy the contention, they enjoy the conflict, and they're trying to beat the other person, right? Other people are doing that because they're seeking to understand. Other people are doing that because they're not sure how they feel about it. There's a lot of different reasons. But if your goal is to convince other people of your side of that argument, then you're defeating your own purpose from this offset if you start off with a wrong assumption about that person, right? If I go and I want to convert people to, you know, X religion or whatever, and I assume that everybody who isn't in X religion right now is an idiot, then I'm never going to convert anybody to that religion, because I assume they're all idiots, and they're gonna know that. If I'm trying to convince people to be part of my blue party, you know, or purple party or whatever it is, right? Some political party, and I assume that everybody that isn't currently in there is misguided and stupid and hasn't thought about their side of the argument. And obviously, if they thought about it, they would just agree with me. That's a losing game from the start. And so I question either the logic or the understanding of how humans work, or the motives of anybody who goes in assuming something. And I would say almost categorically that based on what I've said online and what you've said online, it would be very difficult to accurately pin down our real politics.
Yeah, and I think that I'd say, like, just from having discussions with you, who we're not like 100% on board with each other. In fact, we probably disagree on some pretty fundamental things. Right. And yet in dialogue with you, I see all the nuance. Mm-hmm. And half of why that's been fun and actually educational, and I think in a way made me smarter from coming out of those engagements of conversation with you, are the fact that I've asked a lot of questions because I'm curious about the nuance, and you've done the same. And from that, we get a better understanding of where we differ and why we differ, and manage to walk out of it without kind of being like, well, you're blah, 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 whatever it is.
Typical such and such.
Yeah. So there's one thing I wanted to get to. It might go a little over, but we still got like 3 minutes. So, But the last thing, I got called an SJW today, and I feigned ignorance. And I'm just going to acknowledge this. This is my technique now. If I ever hear that as in a pejorative sense, Is pejorative the right word? Like,
yeah, as
a negative?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anytime that's tried to be used in a pejorative, I'm going to try to reframe it to what it actually is, because I don't think it's a right thing in society to make it a bad thing to be called someone who fights for social justice. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, I think we should all be fighting for social justice. I think it's a really huge fight that, like, most people, especially people who are religious, should definitely believe in. You know,
right.
And so, like, to me, I just feigned ignorance and was like, "What's an SJW?" And I'm going to try to do that so that the person using that as an insult has to actually say the full word.
Yeah.
Social justice warrior. And then I think when they say the actual full word instead of the propaganda thing of SJW, because, you know, acronyms are a big 1984 Orwellian type thing,
right,
where it's like you can distance yourself from the meaning of what you're saying. I want to take people away from, like, acronyms that are, like, once again, putting me in some group that I don't identify 100% with,
right.
the group that I think they're intending to put me in. But I want to reframe that conversation and be like, no, I am a person who wants to fight for social justice, and I don't view that as an insult, you know.
Yeah.
Now,
and
you know, and I think that should be the same
and somebody who says that, though, is thinking specifically of a laundry list of specific principles that they're assuming that you believe and are fighting for.
And I guarantee I don't, you know, I don't fit that list, and I guarantee, like, most people probably don't fit that list entirely.
Right.
You know, and if you go into a conversation with someone assuming that that's the list, that they're like, you've got your checklist, oh yeah, there it is, yeah. You're not actually engaging in conversation. So, by the way, I just brought that up as an example because I think that could apply to anything. Anytime somebody's just kind of repeating a wholesale kind of party line insult to another person, like, that's not, it doesn't have a lot of depth to it, I'd question it and be like, is this person authentic, or are they just kind of like making a bunch of assumptions about who I am based on their idea of it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we should continue this again. I love this topic. You guys let us know in the chats. I know we're an art show and stuff like that, but it's fun to get into, and I think, like, for some reason it feels like it needs to be addressed at this area in time.
I want to tie this into art, and we already did, but I want to tie this into art because it is an art show and it is important. There is a debate going on right now, and I know you've got to go, and I'll let you leave. There's a debate going on right now about what art should be, and that is a debate that has existed since art. Right? It's always like in every like liberal arts class, they're gonna make you, like, debate, like, what is art, and there's no real answer, you know, or whatever. And or there's lots of answers, and none of them have, like, been definitively proven. But one of the things that's going on right now is, should art have a political or moral or religious or whatever message, or should it pose questions, or should it just tell fun stories, or should it just be escapist or whatever? And I always have problems when people start shoulding something. That's I don't like it when people are like, this should be like this, and that's because I've decided. But I do think that art universally, and this is my personal opinion, and I know that a lot of people disagree with it, and I'm going to contradict myself because I'm about to say the word should. I do think that art should raise questions about humanity. That's one of the most interesting things that art can do. And whether you're doing that in a really fun way or whether you're doing that in a really serious way, it's interesting. But the only way that you can do that is if you accurately and truly empathize with all of the people that you're using, or all the characters that you're using, or all the situations that you're using. Otherwise, it feels really disingenuous and it's a flat piece.
Agreed. Yeah.
So,
because, like I said, I think, let's say I read a book by somebody who disagreed with my own viewpoints and stuff, the ones that I got called an SJW for, which is weird because I wasn't expressing much of a viewpoint when I was called that. I was just kind of like, hey, this happened. Like, but anyhow, you know, if somebody were writing me as a character and they wanted to kind of show, like, how idiotic I am, which I think is possible, you know, it could still be an entertaining and compelling read if it's written from a viewpoint where I'm being painted in a realistic way. But if you just have generic SJW character, then you've got a really generic critique. And it maybe the people in your tribe will buy it, but like I don't think the general public outside of that is going to be like, oh, that's really compelling and believable, because anyone outside of your bubble is going to be like, well, people don't act that way. Like, right. That's a stereotype that you fit somebody into.
It's like,
and so like that I think that's the truth, is like, by paying attention and being receptive to the nuance, I think you'll be a better writer. I think you'll be a better manager of people, because you can't be a good manager and just make assumptions about people. You always want to confirm.
Yeah.
And, you'll be a better artist for it. So there you go. I hope you guys in the chats don't leave a bunch of comments calling us SJWs. Thank you.
You can call me whatever you want.
Yeah, that's true.
I find it interesting that people resort to labels after a discussion about how labels don't work and are a problem.
All right, let's end this with my buddy Chris, who just joined in the chats, and he said art ought to have honesty, whether it's serious or silly. All right, guys.
I completely agree. And honesty feels authentic and real, and it can be silly, funny, serious, whatever. Completely agree. All right, we gotta let you go because you're about to go live on Artcasters. If you want to find my work, you can check it out at CoryKerr.com. I will be at Salt Lake Comic Con, or FanX, whatever they're calling that soon. Special thanks to No Saboteurs for the intro music. And they just cut a new demo track, so you should be able to see that at some point in time. And you can see Josh's stuff on this channel and at quarterlystories.com. And we're gonna cut this short and not do.
Oh wait!
Oh, go ahead.
One last thing. Actually, I totally forgot because this was last minute booked today. But we're actually playing a show locally at this bar called The Trap in the Antelope Valley. So if you're at all in the Antelope Valley area, which I sincerely doubt, come to The Trap. It's this crazy kind of biker bar, and we're playing rock and roll there. So,
awesome.
Friday at 9 o'clock. Boom. Okay. Bye.
And that can be found. That can be found at facebook.com/NoSaboteurs.
All right.
Okay, we'll catch you guys later. Stick around for Artcasters.